Well, good evening, everyone. This is my last podcast of the year. I'm Janice Barlow, and I don't expect most of you to be watching live right now, so most of you will be seeing this on YouTube or as a replay later. But I'm going to get right into it because I don't want to take up too much time at the beginning. This one is going to be a little different. We're not going to talk about Calvinism today. I'm going to focus on hackers and scammers, but not the way I usually do. We're not going to talk about fake profiles. We're going to talk about how people easily get a hold of your money without you even realizing it, and why you should care, because it's happening more and more. It's happening to your friends. It's happening to your family. And you may have done it recently and not even known you've done it because you've thought you did something right. So we're going to start out, first of all, with a little bit of a background on some of my books, just so you know what I do, because I'm retired, but I'm not really retired because I write. So I want to give you kind of a synopsis of some of them, and you'll know what I do in my spare time. And maybe they'll be interesting to you. This is not a sales pitch. This is just informative, so you can know why I'm as weird as I am. I'm writing a series right now, and I'm sorry this is backwards, but that's just how the camera, I think, makes it go. I don't know if, no, I can't switch it. That would make it look at you, not me. The Timeline of Dark and Light, a Dr. Anna Cassini novel, is #1 in a set of 6. And it's about a doctor who, she's a pathologist, but she does autopsies. She has a lot of anxiety and stress disorders, and she falls for an orthopedic surgeon who is bipolar. And that's the backstory of all the books. There's going to be 10 total. I'm working on #7 right now. But each book is separate in itself in that there is a crime, or at least one crime, sometimes 2, that they are involved in some way and often solve, but sometimes can't. And it's real life because they talk like people in real life. They do things and argue and get frustrated like people in real life, and they're not just silly characters in a book the way I portray them. Book 1 is written in the first person because I wanted to introduce Anna to you as a person who's thinking, and it's a linear book. It just flows from her. And then the other books are in the third person, except for the last part. The epilogue goes back to the first person. So we have this one, Season of Sun and Rain. #3, Echoes of Mountains and Valleys. 4, The Silence of Dusk and Dawn. 5, The Crossing of Land and Sea, which is a really fun one. I had the most fun writing this book. The last one is The Depths of Love and Loss, which is a very sad and serious book, but it comes out of that in book 7. And in book 5, I introduced a character who's a real-life person that I wrote this book about, a lawman of New Hanover County, and it's about my friend Mark Vincent, who was the captain of the jail here in the county. And he also helped out in the courtroom. He did a lot of domestic violence things that you wouldn't want to be involved in directly with the people. And he did evictions and things on the street. So there's a lot of fun stuff in there. There's a lot of weird things. There's a lot of things that law enforcement people would recognize as, oh, I got stuck in stuff like that too. And there's some stranger than fiction weird stuff that shocked me. But we had fun writing that book. And I just wanted to put Mark into my fiction book as a character because he was such an interesting character in his career. So he's continuing on now in book 7 that I'm writing. And this other book, The Last Bloodline, was one of my most heavily researched books. This is a novel, and it's about a pandemic that happened in the 1400s and then came back again in the current times, and came back on steroids, so because there was no cure. And right at the end of the book, COVID came out. So I had to kind of push COVID into the book a little bit, but it was interesting that I was writing about such a weird pandemic and then a real one hit. But that book can stand on its own, or it has a sequel called As the Stars of Heaven Fell, and it's pretty graphic, and it's a Christian book. It kind of lines up with end times, so if you like that kind of stuff, that's there. So that's a background on my books. They're all on Amazon. They're all Kindle enabled. The Last Bloodline is also an Audible book. And now, without further ado, we will get into scamming. This scamming podcast is about things where people try to get money from you just by asking for it. They're not taking your profile and making things out of it and stuff. These people put up posts and they're asking for money. The GoFundMe's, Cash App, Venmo, different things where they act like they're in a bind and you really need to be the one to help them out. And I'm going to explain what those look like, because some of them are very deceptive and some of them are obvious. And where they are, they're not just on Facebook. In fact, most of them are not on Facebook, but they're in obvious places. So we just had this major hurricane come through and wreck major areas of this state, North Carolina, but also Tennessee, South Carolina, Georgia, and Florida. This inspired some people to start groups within these areas to post for people who needed help, who were trading goods, who were just updating on the situations, taking photos, and telling people where they could get supplies and things like that. So the one that interested me was in Safety Harbor, a place where I lived for 21 years in Florida, has a group called Safety Harbor Strong. And it's a public group. You don't have to belong to it to look at it. In fact, almost all of these are public groups, which is interesting because it puts it out as more exposed, but anyone can go on there and post anything they want to attract anyone they want. I believe you have to be a member to post, but you don't have to be a member to comment. But I don't know what the rules are on that now. But in the Safety Harbor Strong group, you'll see all kinds of people asking for things and asking for help for their pets, things like that. And you can pretty much tell if you're used to these things that there's something wrong. There's also a site called Nextdoor, and Nextdoor is available in almost every community, and it's about your neighborhood, and these are neighbors posting things. It's a lot like Facebook. You can friend people, you can follow people, and they post about needs and events going on in the neighborhoods and crime and things, lost animals, all sorts of things. But there's opportunists that get on Nextdoor as well, and we'll get into details on this. So the Safety Harbor one, I'm going to give you an example of what I ran into. There was a lady who posted that her husband's father died, and he died in Long Beach, California. And she was asking for 4 tickets of $700 each so she could fly her family and herself out to California to go to her father-in-law's funeral. And it just was red flags all over the place. So people were not, giving in. They weren't gullible to just send her money. Some guy said, well, it really only costs $400 to fly to LA and back. Why are you asking for $700? And you could just take a bus to Long Beach. It's not that far. And she said, well, yeah, it's like 2 hours by bus, and I don't want to have to get on a bus after I've just flown across the country. So it's $700 to jump flight from LA to Long Beach, which I thought was rude and weird. Because, she's asking for more money than she really needs, and she's trying to scam people, was the first thought I had. Then somebody said, well, why don't you just ask for frequent flyer miles? I mean, people often pile up extra miles from their businesses and stuff when they're flying all the time. You don't have to ask for money for tickets. Just ask for frequent flyer miles for a ticket, and they'll get you a ticket with your miles. She comes back and says, well, I don't really know when the funeral is going to be. He was a vet, and the veterans are doing all this for us. And so we have to wait till the funeral's set and we know when it is so that we can get the tickets. So I just prefer if you send me the money for the tickets. Well, first of all, the veterans don't do funerals. They don't. You do your funeral. The veterans get you a headstone. That's about it. So it doesn't make any sense. I don't even know when the last time this woman saw her father-in-law was, or if there is a father-in-law. She posts pictures of some old guy. Somebody said, finally, can we see the obituary? And then we didn't hear from her again. So this is the kind of thing you really have to watch out for, because it's out there. These people are asking for things to pull on your heartstrings. Oh my gosh, she's got to get out there. This is so sad. She posted pictures of her and her kids, and how, they were like young boys, and don't buy it. Don't, because unless they're asking, or if they're willing to accept something other than money that can only be used for the purpose that they want to use it for, then there's a problem. You're going to get scammed. Even if you don't think you are, and even if you try to convince me you're not, you are. You're going to get scammed. So there are legitimate charities out there that are needing funds. The people in Asheville, for instance, there are charities set up specifically to help people for disaster relief. One's called Hearts with Hands. We donate to them. My church donates to them. It's a 501c3 nonprofit organization that is designed for disaster relief across the country. Just so happens that they also got hit with this hurricane because of their location. But they were able to come out of that enough to still provide clothing, food, and shelter for people who were hurt by this, and get plenty of donations, and they'll always take donations. But they do the right thing with the donations. Everyone who works for them is a volunteer, and they provide the needs for the people who are in need in these situations, including shelter. But people who are on there saying, well, I need a place to live, there are resources for these people. They need to know where to go and ask. We don't have to talk about FEMA. We don't have to get political about FEMA, because even without FEMA in the picture, there are still resources on the state and local level where they can go and they can get help. So there's no reason at all for people to be getting on social media and crying that they don't have a place to live or they don't have food for their baby, because there are places set up specifically for this. And when they make these posts, people will put in the comment section, have you tried calling here? Have you tried calling here? And they don't respond. Why aren't they answering? Because they want your money. They don't want the resources. They don't want baby formula. They don't want clothing. They want money. And why do they want money? I'll just be straight out with you. They're on drugs. They're on drugs. It's not really an alcohol problem. People aren't going to go busting through social media to get drunk. They want drugs, and drugs are not cheap. So when you see people that are desperate and they're just really, really trying to get you to send them money, they are on drugs. And I have no problem saying that, because there are other ways to get money through organizations that are designed to help you. Now, that brings me to somewhere I want to go with this before I get back to it, and that's missionaries. A lot of us have seen on Facebook these people who claim to be missionaries. I don't know if they are or not, who don't live in this country, who run what are called children's homes or orphanages, and they're in Nigeria or Uganda or places like this. Are they legit? They sound legit. They make nice posts. They ask for prayer. They post scripture. But can they prove who they are? Or are they just posting stock photos? Or are they posting real photos in a timely situation where there's a bunch of people gathering and eating? So you don't really know. My advice to you is never give to a missionary directly. They are all able to get under what's called a missionary board. Missionary board is an organization that directs the funding to missionaries. And the missionary is legit that way. They are sent out by a church. It's called their sending church. They raise money through other churches and individuals like us who will support them, either with a lump sum or a one-time donation or a monthly donation. And the churches will do this, and they will go to the churches and they'll show their ministry, and then we'll get the support. The support doesn't go to them directly. It goes to the missionary board. The missionary board cuts them a check every month, and that's how they live, and that's how they grow their ministry. And that's how they do their mission overseas, whether it's an orphanage or planting a new church, or whether they're here in the U.S. and they do a prison ministry, let's say. They go into the jails and preach the gospel and help people when they get out of prison, get settled, things like this. So it's more than just Christian stuff that they do, although Christianity is wrapped in the whole thing. You can't just sit down and quote Bible verses to someone who's in need. You have to help them with their need. And the way to do that is to be a legitimate missionary and be trained. A lot of them never were trained. They didn't go to receive any mission training. Now, if their parents were missionaries, they could get training that way. But if they didn't go to a missionary college or a training program for it, you don't know if they are using money effectively either. Missionaries should be doing things like building schools, orphanages, upgrading prisons, feeding people who don't have food by not just giving them food, but showing them how to be self-sustaining, medical help, teaching the children not just about the Bible, but about education, how to read and write. And these are all things that they don't do exclusively, but they help in the system, wherever the children live, wherever the people live. And then they also train the people there how to do it themselves and how to have a national pastor take over the ministry, because they're not going to be there forever. They may just be there for 5 years, 10 years, and then they leave, they go to another church and start over, or they come back to the States, or they come back home if they're in the States. If they're doing it, let's say, out west at an Indian reservation, and they're doing this ministry. But a missionary, if you're giving to a missionary, you should be sending your checks to the mission board in their name, not to them. If you have somebody on Facebook saying, I'm a missionary, GoFundMe, please don't. And I know people who are doing this, and maybe they have a good heart and it's legitimate, but that person needs to go to a mission board and tell them what their mission is and present it and start going to churches and presenting their mission and make themselves a legitimate entity. Because otherwise, you don't know what they're doing with their money. You may give them a $50 check and they'll say, hey, it's Ruth Chris tonight because I've been really on the road a lot. You can't trust people this way. Unless you really, really know them as a person, I wouldn't trust them. You don't know. You may feel good inside, but that doesn't mean your money's going in the right place. It doesn't mean they're a drug addict either. It just means that they're not doing things the right way. In order to do things the right way, you have to follow Scripture. Paul was sent out by churches as a missionary. He was supported by churches. He didn't run around saying, "Give me money for my mission" to people. I don't think he would have ever done that if there was Facebook back then. It isn't right. So make sure, when you're dealing with missionaries that you are dealing with a legitimate missionary. Now, not all of them have a missions board because they may be 501c3s in their own right, like Hearts with Hands in Asheville. They are a nonprofit, so they don't have a missionary board because they are themselves a nonprofit, and you can verify these things. 501c3s are all listed that way. So I'm going to give you an example of what a missionary does. We met the Ledbetters many years ago before we became really good friends with them. And they were missionaries to Haiti. And they came and presented their missionary at our church when we lived in Florida. They lived in Haiti. They were called there to be missionaries. And Tony Ledbetter was a police officer in Indiana. And then he got called into the mission field. So he went to Bible college for this. He trained. They traveled around the country. They raised money to support through the churches. They went to Haiti. Very dangerous place. Very hard to witness. Very hard to reach the people there. But they did it. And they encountered some very, very dangerous situations. They came back after 11 years because mainly the political climate and some health reasons. So now they're in Florida, but they're still doing their mission. They should be retired because of their age, but they're still doing their missions. Tony is not only a missionary to Haiti by radio programs, by teaching in a Bible college in Africa. He goes there. And by doing preaching in Haitian churches in the Florida areas where these communities exist, because they need preachers. And he's trained to do this. And he knows the language of Creole. But he's also the chaplain for the Florida Highway Patrol. So, because they need chaplains. And they can't afford with their budgets to pay these guys. So he's a volunteer. Where does he get paid to do this? He gets paid through his mission donations. So here's a missionary who's doing all these things who's reaching all these people and helping them. And if you're in a dangerous or a sad situation, a chaplain is somebody you really want to be with you. So when you look at something like that, as opposed to sending your check off to some orphanage guy in Uganda, which you don't have a clue what's going on except for what you hear and see on Facebook, you should really know where your common sense is. I'm not telling you you should stop and start giving to the Ledbetters, but I'm just saying, look at what you're doing and evaluate. Because if that's what you really want to do, make sure you're doing it legitimately, because you'll know your money's being used wisely. If you want to know more about any other missionaries in any lands other than, the Ledbetters I've told you about, pretty much can tell you, if you just send me a PM, if somewhere interests you, I can direct you to the church where a missionary is being supported and tell you who they are. If your church isn't supporting missionaries, you might be going to the wrong church, because the purpose of the church is mission outreach, reaching people around the world and in your own backyard. You're supposed to do the backyard part. They do the rest of it. Where you can't go, you give and the rest go. Some people go. So if you don't know who your missionaries are and you are supporting them, ask your pastor, who are we supporting? How can I get emails from these people so I can see what work they're doing overseas? I want to know what they're doing. We're donating through the church giving. We want to know what they're doing. You should be able to find out. It's not just some general mission offering. You should be able to know specifically who they are. And if they're, like I said, if your church is not giving to missionaries, it's not serving its purpose as a church. And I'm just saying that right out, because it's a social club. If it's not reaching the world for Christ, it's a social club. Okay, enough on that rant. Now let's talk about some things on GoFundMe that you're going to find, and on Nextdoor, and on some of these sites that you're going to see if you haven't already. And some of you, I know you have, because they're so irritating. You're going to see people asking for this stuff. Don't fall for it, because even if some of it's legit, the ones who post the bad stuff are hurting the legit ones, and the legit ones don't know where to go. They need to find the right way to get help, and it's not through you sending them money. I realize my lease is ending this month and I have nowhere to live. Well, gosh, you just realized that now. That's a problem. And why can't you renew your lease? Is it too much money now? That's the problem. Or were you evicted? COVID, had a lot to do with people that needed to stop paying their rent for a while. But when COVID ended, they stopped paying their rent for I don't know how long. And some of them still are fighting to not pay their rent, even though they're back to work. So COVID really messed things up with landlords, and it really hurt a lot of people who depended on real estate to get by, because that was their life, their way of life. They owned 4 or 5 houses. They collect the rents. They kept them maintained and everything, and people trashed them and didn't pay the rent. So that is a risk you take, but I'm sorry, I'm not helping anybody that can't pay their rent. They can get a job now. Or they can, if they're on some sort of disability, there are programs to help them pay their rent. There are programs. I can't find an apartment. I'm new to the area and there's nothing in my price range. I just need a little help for the first few months. Okay, why is it just for the first few months? If you can't afford it, you can't afford it. Get a roommate and find an apartment. This happened to somebody I know. They couldn't afford an apartment. They wanted a 2-bedroom. They were willing to have a roommate, but they wanted a 2-bedroom. That's the way it goes. Somebody could sleep on the couch and get a 1-bedroom. If you want to live in that part of town that bad, you have to make adjustments. And these were young kids, so they want things cheap or free. It doesn't work that way. My credit isn't good because of a bad situation, but that's over now. I can't get an apartment. Does anyone know of a room or a flat I could rent from somebody, maybe upstairs of a business or something? Be careful with that. Don't ever rent out a place in your home to somebody you don't know, because your home becomes their entire way to move around. They can go anywhere in your house. You can lock them out of places, but it doesn't matter. They're going to trash your place. They're going to steal stuff. you're not going to get paid when you're supposed to. You may get a legitimate person here or there, but no. If you need money that bad, sell your house or get a reverse mortgage or something. But don't rent to a stranger in your home. Find a relative. Sometimes that doesn't work either. I've been living in my car with my baby. Help. Go to a shelter. If you're living in your car with your baby and you haven't sought help from the county or the city, and I find out, I'll report you to CPS because I'm that one. I'm that person. I'll report you because that baby does not need you for a parent if you're living in your car with it. Or your young children, same thing. I need a car because I'm moving out of state where I have a job waiting. I'll get it back to you. I'll have somebody drive it back. I just need to borrow it to get there. You'll never see your car again. I've seen this posted several times. People actually ask, what kind of car? Is it okay if it's a clunker? I mean, come on. How are they going to get back and forth to work once they get to this place, if that's where they're really going for a job? Take a bus. Take a bus there. And then worry about it. Take a bus to your work. I need surgery, and I don't have a copay or deductible amount that I can pay. I don't have it. I don't have the money to pay it. I've needed this knee surgery for so long. I need my knee replaced. I can't walk anymore. I can't even walk down the street. I can't even get into an Uber. Somebody please help me. Somebody please come and live with me and take care of me while I'm recovering from surgery. Please. Yeah, that's right, Carol. They can rent a car, but they'll tell you they don't have the money. They don't want to buy a car. They want to rent a car. They just want you to give them one. So these people that want surgery so bad, there's an easy way to find out. Who's your doctor? Where are you getting the surgery done? They usually don't know who the doctor is yet, and they don't have a place where the surgery is being done because nothing's been scheduled, because they might have a sore knee or something or whatever, but it's just their way of an excuse to get money from you. And I've seen one lady on Nextdoor complaining about this multiple different ways, trying to get money for her sore knee. But yet she sometimes can drive, sometimes she can't. Sometimes she's walking around, sometimes she's not. It depends on the post. I need Uber money while my car is in repair or until I can get another car. Well, if you can get your car fixed in a repair and pay for it, then you should be able to pay to get around, especially if you have a job. And your job might be understanding enough to help you out that way. Or there's a thing called a bus too. People don't like buses, but that's what they're there for. If you're getting your car repaired, you might be able to rent one from the place that's repairing it. Just don't give in to these people. Don't. I need bus money, just in general. How many of you have been in a parking lot or going somewhere, and you're walking and somebody comes up to you and says, I just need $2. I got to get on the bus. I got to get home. Well, how did you get here? So they don't need $2. They're doing this $2 scheme to about 30 people in an hour because they want their next hit. They want their next meth bag or whatever it is. I don't even know what it's called, but they want their drugs. It's usually not alcohol. Like I said, alcohol is the guy standing in the corner with the sign, I can't feed my family, and blah, 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 blah. And then they collect enough and the next guy comes along and takes over in the same spot because it's a business, and they'll go get drunk. But the drug people are more desperate. They've got to get their hit. If they don't get their hit, they just lose their minds and they'll go rob something and they'll go shoplifting and everything. So, yeah, Carol, or they have their pimp around the corner. That's right. So they need to not get $2 from you. Do not support their drug habit. Don't feel good about yourselves for reaching in your wallet on the corner when you're stopped at a red light and giving them $5 because you're giving them drug money. You're helping somebody to die. If you want, carry around a sack of Lance crackers, peanut butter and cheese. They're good. Hand them out. They don't want those. Nah, they want money. So, churches, same thing. If you're a pastor or if you know your pastor really well, ask your pastor, Pastor, you don't give people money that's stopping the church, do you? Please don't do that. The pastor should help the person, unless they're chronically coming back over and over again. A way to help them is take them into the grocery store. They need food. Get them the staples they need from the church petty cash. Milk, bread, eggs. That's what our old pastor used to do. Usually the people didn't come back because that's really not what they wanted. Let's say they can't pay their bills. They're short of money. The month isn't done yet, and they ran out of money. Call the electric company for them. Ask for that 1 month reprieve or that grace period. Electric companies will do a one-time thing for you. You have to ask them. Same with water bill. They won't shut it off if you tell them your circumstances. But they'll tell them, we only do this one time. Don't bother us for 12 months. But they'll do it. So scammers tend to know about this. So they're not going to be too happy if you recommend that that's what you want to do for them. Or you can cut a check directly to their apartment unit if you want to help them with part of their rent as a church. Never give them money for their rent, because that's not what it's going to go for. It's not. So that pretty much covers most of the scams. Well, I shouldn't say that because there's so many. If you go on these sites, you can just laugh. The community sites are the funniest ones. You see just about every single way possible. But people have wised up to it. Read the comments and see what other people are saying. Don't feel sorry for these people. Don't stick up for them. There's always these bleeding heart leftists on there going, oh, you poor thing. Look at how these people are being so mean to you. How can you be so mean to this person? Excuse me? It's not being mean, it's being common sense, practical. Because if they really knew what to do, they would be doing it for the purpose that they need. They can go somewhere and get help. You see Chris is telling me that he doesn't even give family money. I understand that too. If there's somebody in need, you give them what they need, not cash. Cash will not be spent the way it should be. Another site, and Chris, this will interest you a lot, Christopher, are pet sites. There are pet sites all over Facebook, these groups. And these groups try to win your heart over by posting these beautiful pictures. I was going to print some up for you, but my printer's not working right. These beautiful pictures of animals that they'll say, look at this beautiful picture. And I have a greyhound, so I look at these greyhound pictures. I don't belong to any of these groups. Never belong to a public group, like a pet group. Private groups are fine. Public group, they're data mining you. That's why they want you to join it. But you can see everything you want to see without joining by just bringing up the group, put it in their Greyhound lovers community. Click on it. 67,000 members, but don't join it. You'll see every post anyway. They're all pictures that say, what a beautiful picture. Look at this beautiful post. What a beautiful dog. And they are very well done pictures. So what they want is for you to send your picture in and post it. Because that way it becomes their property. And they can do whatever they want with your dog's photo. They can put it in a calendar and sell it. They can use it in advertising. Or they can data mine your profile because you send it in. So why we know these things, all you have to do after you've clicked on the group and see the post is go to the admin and moderator section and see who the admins and moderators are. All of them are from the Mideast. They're from Pakistan, India, Bangladesh. They're not, these people don't have those dogs. Why are they doing this? Because they're scamming for information and for advertising. And if you go to their individual profiles, what you will see is they're either locked profiles or they're selling Ray-Bans and Bitcoin and shoes knockoffs. So don't join public pet groups that are huge. If you join them, join the pet groups your friends have set up. The local good stuff, the stuff that's in the United States that has normal named people, but because there's a lot of people I like that don't have normal names, but people that are, speak your language. don't join a group that has 30 people that have a mile-long name and they live in Bangladesh. They want that they'll steal those photos. They don't care. They're not even stolen. Once you post your photo over there, it's not your property anymore. You put it up on the public worldwide web. It's not yours. You'll see pets again. Let's talk about pets more. You'll see a picture. Sasha is a dog that was picked up off the side of the road. She's injured. She's got a broken leg. Her guts are hanging out. She needs surgery really bad. So we need like $8,000 for Sasha's surgery. The GoFundMe is below. That dog either doesn't exist. It was a stock photo. I'll tell you about that in a minute. Or it died a long time ago. Or it healed and it's back to where it needs to be. Or it really does need surgery, but it belongs to a person who's paying for the surgery and just posted it to say, please pray for my dog. It's going in for surgery. But it's not somebody who's saying, please help my dog. Or this dog we found. One way you can find out is say, if you want to be so bold on the post, what veterinary clinic is going to be doing the surgery? Because these people aren't located here in a lot of cases. They don't know where a veterinary clinic is. So they may pull one off the internet somewhere, but you can ask them that. I'd say, I don't want the phone number. I just want the location. Where is it? Who's the vet? Where's the veterinary clinic and who's the vet? Who's doing the surgery? And you might even close down that post as fast as it was put up. Stock photos. Stock photos are images that are just out there. You can buy them. You can get them free. Wallpaper, anything like that for your phone. But they're just general images that are out there. People grab them and use them all the time. So stock images we can just get. And people claim them and say that they belong to them and it's their pet or their animal, or it's an animal in the woods behind them or whatever. Carol said Google search. I use Google search like this. There's a little square in the search box at the very right-hand side, and it's called, it's a locator. So you can take a picture of the post of the dog, let's say, that's laying on a bed with a tube in its neck, and overlay that box on the photo you took, and it will locate where that photo came from if it came from somewhere other than where the post is showing you. And that way you can determine if that photo actually came from that poster. Don't share these things either. Do not share when somebody's pet is dying or sick, unless you know the person on Facebook and it really is their pet. Don't share strangers' stuff. I mean, I don't even share jokes from strangers anymore. I just take the meme. I don't share the person's name. Except Larry Wallenmeyer. I will use your name, Larry. But take the locator and overlay it. You'll often see that this stuff came from a veterinary clinic, maybe a school for students of veterinary. And that's where they went in and got it from. And then they claim this dog is sick and needs your help. Needs your money. Send it to here. And they'll get in touch with you in a personal message. That's what they do. Never talk to these people in a personal message. Never give them any information. Never give them your phone number, your birth date, where you live. Don't give them anything, because the more they get, the more exposed you are. So the stolen photos aren't just pets. They could be a kid lying in a hospital bed. Please pray for Jimmy. He's got to have a new liver. And if we don't get a new liver within 14 days, he's going to die. See that all the time. And if Jimmy dies, you're going to feel bad, right? Well, Jimmy's either probably already gone or Jimmy's fine. And that picture did not need a liver transplant at all. And it's just a stock photo of a kid in the hospital because they want to show a children's hospital patient. Or it's a family who showed their child in a hospital and somebody stole the picture and put it out there and asked for money. So don't feel sorry for Jimmy. They'll start out by saying Jimmy needs praise. And I'm not saying praise. Don't praise Jimmy, but pray for Jimmy. But they don't know how to say prayer because they're foreign. So they say prays. Jimmy needs praise. As if that's the plural of prayers. And that's one way you can tell if they don't say prayers. Once you say, I'm praying for Jimmy in the comment section, be prepared to be contacted because they'll say, thank you for praying for Jimmy. And, you'll answer, God bless you or whatever. And then you'll get another thing. By the way, where are you from? And they'll try to lure you into, Jimmy could, his hospital bill is really high. It's in the thousands and thousands of dollars. Could you please just send $100? And then you start feeling guilty or you don't answer at all, which is the right thing to do. So you can pray. You can pray that photo get taken down if it's not Jimmy. Okay. Another thing that I'm seeing a lot of now, and this is just this year, I started seeing this, and maybe you have too. Click on the link in the first comment below. What is that? It's clickbait. Because if you have something to say, you don't need to click on the link in the comment below to say it. You can say it in the post itself. Because the post itself has a lot more room for characters than the comment section does. If they want you to click on the comment below, all they're doing is gathering your info so they can bombard you with advertising. You just opened that link and you got in, and now your profile is in their list to get hit with advertising. Do not ever click on the link in the comment below. I saw, and I wanted to show this to you guys too, but I don't have it because of my printer, but one of the things I saw was Starbucks. Starbucks has a logo, and somebody said, I've seen this logo for 15, 20 years, and I've never noticed this before on the logo. Click in the comment below for more information. And, people are like, they lure you in with this hook. So you want to click on the comment below to see what the hook is. Well, sometimes it's a video, and it's a long video, and it's got lots of ads in it, and they don't really tell you anything. And you get to the bottom, you say, well, they're telling me what was in the logo. Yeah, well, you just got scammed and added to a bunch of ad lists, and your name and profile link is going to get sold to a lot of places. So, yeah, you need to not ever click on the link in the comment below, or even click on the comment below. Just don't, because you're exposing yourself to all this information that is out there, and you become part of it. Some people honestly say, click on my blog in the comment below. Don't even put your blog in the comment below. Put it in the post. There's more room for it in the post. You can run out of characters in the comments section. You end up doing a second comment and a third comment. Don't put it in the comment section. And then it'll scroll down and people will lose it anyway. So that's dumb. The profile magnet, that's the praise thing, P-R-A-Y-S. You'll often see another thing. My child is missing. Or a picture of a kid holding a puppy or a cat. The cat things. That was a cool thing last month. A girl went missing with her cat. This is a new thing now. They take their cats. It was legit. She actually did go missing, but it wasn't a scary thing because some of the family knew she was going to go in advance. But she left, took her cat, and she was a chronic runaway. And the cops said she was an at-risk person, but the cops didn't come into the picture for like 4 days. So obviously this wasn't an Amber Alert situation, or it should have been, because she was only, 14 or 15 years old. And that's too young to be run away that long, especially if it was the first time it happened. So when you see missing and you see a kid, do that Google overlay, take that square out of the Google search box, take a picture of the missing person post and overlay the Google square on it and see if you really see what's going on there. Because a lot of times it'll say found, and the kid was found like 3 years ago. Or the kid was never missing. It's just a picture of a kid leaning against a car and somebody puts missing on top of it so they can get your information in the comment section. Happens every day. Don't fall for it. So research is not hard. People are just lazy. We don't want to do the research, but it's not hard. All you have to do is Google the information. Look for the picture. Do an overlay. Do an image search. Do a name search. If you don't do this and you give them money, it's your fault, and I don't feel sorry for you. Don't come whining on Facebook that you got scammed, because you created your own problem. So if you want to stop seeing this stuff, there are ways to do it. It's not easy, but if you do it consistently, you will help yourself. Now, one thing Facebook's done recently is when let's say Christopher just says he rarely sees my posts and he used to see them a lot. So if you go to my wall and you start scrolling through my posts, what you're going to see are some of my posts and then an ad. And some of my posts and an ad. I don't put those ads there. Facebook does. They just stick them on everybody's profile posts as you go scrolling. And you get stuck with them unless you go to the top right corner and you click on those 3 dots and a menu drops down and you click hide all ads from blah, blah, blah. Never buy anything from Temu. That reminds me of something else I'll tell you in a minute. So you click on the dots and you get rid of the ads. You get rid of the ads every time you see an ad you hate. Just do that. I don't care if it's on somebody's post. I don't care if it just pops up. I really hate some of the ads I'm seeing, and I click on that and I just get rid of them because they are just really stupid. And I will never buy anything on Facebook. Never. I might like something I see on Facebook, and I'll look and see if it's on Amazon. And if it is, it's cheaper, and you get the Amazon guarantee that way. You can send it back and get your money back. You can't do that if you buy it on Facebook. So if you see another thing you can do is if you see something that you know is fake and you've done the research and you find out, this kid was found 3 years ago. Everybody keeps sharing this kid and he's been found. Tell them by putting it on your wall, making it a public post and say, this is being shared. This kid has been found. Stop sharing it now. And you'll be helping the whole community. Tell them to share that he's been found. That will help. Now, like I said, never talk to these people in text, private messages, emails, or on the phone. Never talk to these people. Take your birthday year off Facebook. Nobody needs to know what year you're born. I don't even have my birthday on there. Nobody knows I don't need all your happy birthdays. Thank you very much. So I have a birthday every year. Just say it on January 1st. I don't care. That's not my birthday. So, my email is coded only me. Now that's really important because anybody in the whole world can go on Facebook who's a Facebook person. You know, you are signed up for Facebook. Anybody can then go on your profile, look in your about section, and see your email. And once they see your email, you know what happens. You get bombarded with junk, all kinds of crap, because they found your email on Facebook. So make sure your email is on Facebook, but it says only me. That way you remember what email you used to join Facebook, because you put it on there, but no one else can see it but you. If you make it public or even friends only, you're exposing yourself to people getting access to it and advertising and bombarding you with all kinds of crap. So do that with your email. You need to block the person if somebody is harassing you or after you in a private message or on Facebook. Block them. On Facebook, you can complain to Facebook till the day, all day long. They're never going to do anything about it. People can cuss you and threaten you and everything on Facebook. They're not going to do anything. But on Messenger, they do. So if you click the message itself that they sent you, especially when they're not friends with you, and it's threatening in any way, you can report them as harassing you or bullying, scam, whatever. And Facebook will do something. They'll usually take down the person's profile. I've done it many times. Also, then immediately after that, you go to those 3 dots and you block them. Always block. You hear my dog snorting and making all kind of noise. So those are basically the tips I wanted to give you about scamming. There's a lot more, especially with these disasters that have happened, people taking advantage of other people and trying to get money from them. But just keep in mind that unless you're doing this in a legitimate way, giving your money to a legitimate source, and not trying to buy anything from somebody on Marketplace that isn't a legitimate source. There's a lot of stuff being advertised on Marketplace really dirt cheap, and it's obvious that it's not, that price, and they're just trying to get you locked in so you'll come and pick it up, and they can, I don't know, steal your wallet. I don't know what they do. But if you do a buy and sell on Marketplace, which is another means of trade, and there's a lot of community sites that buy and sell, their groups, make sure that you meet the party that you're either buying or selling to in a public place. Don't have them come to your home. Don't go to their home. Just meet. We meet people at grocery store parking lot because there's cameras there and everything. So you meet them there and you exchange goods there. And that's the best way to do that. So that was just one last thing. This will be on YouTube. I'm going to throw it on YouTube tonight. So if you missed it or if you missed part of it, you can go over there and watch it. You can watch it again here on Facebook. And subscribe. Please subscribe to me on YouTube. I'm trying to build a presence there. The more exposure I get, the more these things can get out there. My channel is easy to remember. It's Janice Barlow 23. And I'm not 23, but that's what they gave me. So you can please subscribe. It doesn't cost anything to subscribe. And that helps me a lot. I've moved up quite a bit in the last month with my Calvinism podcast. And we'll be back to Calvinism in January. But for now, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, and stay safe and healthy and guard your wallets.